Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of my Mahindra Scorpio camera car build. In this episode, we're solving a pretty big problem, which is organization in the back of this vehicle. I have a lot of gear for my camera equipment, camping equipment, food and water that I need to store back here for these long trips that I do for work, for filming. And obviously I need a way that I can keep it all organized and protected so that on rough roads, it's not going to get damaged. The problem with an SUV I find is that keeping things organized is tricky because you can't stack easily, and a lot of the times you are limited to how much floor space you have. So to start off with, what's installed in the back here at the moment is a Rybak Engineering false floor, which is an absolutely fantastic product. Highly recommend you go to their website and check it out. It accommodates a 110 amp hour lithium battery from Kangoe, as well as a DC to DC charger and a solar regulator, so you can keep this thing charged from the engine and a solar panel. It also has a distribution box so that you can run your fridge or charge your devices like cameras and iPads and all that sort of stuff. And it does this while having it underneath the floor securely and protected, so you can stack as much as you want back here and it's not going to get damaged. It also accommodates the third set of seating, which is really good that you obviously can still utilize these points to be able to install it. But for this install, we're going to have to remove it for the final time. So let's get that out of here. Okay, so that's the third row removed. I was a little bit worried that weight was going to be a bit of an issue back here with the new drawer system. However, after feeling how heavy that third row is, I think it's probably going to be quite close. So there's a couple of things I earmarked before I got started on this project as a bit of an issue for the Mahindra Scorpio back here. The first being the amount of depth I've got to work with. A lot of the companies for drawers have 850mm deep drawers. So there's one company in Australia called 4Drive Supercenter, which make 700mm deep drawers. So I went and picked up one of those. The other thing I wanted to install next to that was a fridge drawer. Once again, a lot of them are about 850mm deep. And in this case, theirs is about 740mm deep from memory. So both those options will fit here. Obviously, it's not the brand I would have probably gone with originally, but they had insanely cheap deals on, so obviously we've picked up a couple of those, and if for some reason that fridge doesn't last the test of time, then I'll be able to buy another one and still save money. I still want to be able to open this up to get access to the fuses, so I'm actually going to use the original Mahindra part, which is a carpeted part, and I'll just sort of make some new holes and screw that into the floor where these mounts are. Finally, the last thing is that there's not a lot of mounting options here to be able to fix this new floor down into the floor. So there's this original thread where this third row of seats was installed. We'll definitely utilize that. But what I did was I got my mate Jared to install at the front here a new set of nutserts at the front so that we can obviously bolt down into that. So it is quite an uneven floor, so it is going to be interesting. I think what I'm going to do is utilize where these false floor mount into, is put a bit of a support bracket in here. The floor falls away, which I actually think once we have this new height will actually give us a little cubby to be able to store things like recovery gear. But I might need to install in these corners maybe some supports, or maybe at the front here a bit of a rib or support, just to be able to obviously take the weight and not have it sag over time. Obviously I'm going to take this thing to a lot of remote locations on corrugated roads, and I want this thing to be obviously stand the test of time. I need to be able to make sure it's supported and secured into the floor properly. So, enough rambling, I better get started. I'm going to remove this false floor and then install the original OEM part into this front section of the boot. Okay, so that's that HDE part removed from the false floor. I've reutilized this OEM part from the Scorpio. I've used these two nutserts to fix it to the floor. That means I get access to these two little cubbies as well as the fuses at the back here that runs the whole system. So now this is our highest point. We're going to make a new floor so we can mount our drawers to. Down at my local hardware, I found a thing called Formply, which is a particle board that's quite resistant to water and is quite strong. So I guess we'll measure this up, make sure we fit within this plastic kind of restraint here, and obviously we'll make a couple of a front section and a couple of supports at the back here to support all the weight. See you once it's all installed. check out this new false floor. It's super strong. It's nice and flat for mounting these drawers, and those 4 bolts into the floor are doing a good job of making sure it doesn't move around. At the front here, we've got a nice little support, which is going to push down the weight into the floor, but also makes it look really finished. Halfway along was that rib to be able to make sure it doesn't bow. And at the back are some legs just to make sure that we can support the back face, because I wanted to make sure, as I sort of put this into place, I noticed that the floor being falling away at the front there creates a nice little cubby for things like recovery straps and extra little bits of camping gear. Overall, really happy. It's painted black because I think that just finishes it off nicely, but it also protects the edges from moisture, make sure it doesn't bow or warp or anything over longevity of it all. So I'm going to actually call it a day there because it's starting to get dark, but tomorrow we're going to actually install the 2 new drawers and put a roof on this thing. I'll see you then. Welcome back to day 2. I've temporarily put these 2 drawers in just to see how things line up. It looks fantastic. With these 2 placed here temporarily, I'm able to confirm that my measurements are correct and I can open these 2 drawers through the gap of the door, which is absolutely fantastic. There's enough depth, there's enough room on the width with these bolt heads in the way. And so far, the only problem I've found is the top of this single drawer is taller than the fridge drawer. However, it looks like I can just remove these screws and take this panel off, and then it'll be the same height as the fridge drawer, meaning when we put our top panel on, things will just screw down to both drawers and look nice and flush and perfect. So the job this morning is to get these columns cut and made up. The fridge doesn't actually have any mounts on the floor, so it means that we have to do a good job of mounting these to the sides and to the top to be able to make sure this thing is in securely. So I think the only other issue when it comes to cutting these columns is the fact that these seats angle back as well. So let's just get started on that. Okay, quick recap of what I've done. I've removed these nutserts from the top of the drawer so it's flush with the fridge. I've cut out 3 columns, allowing me to fix these drawers to the column and then down to the floor, because obviously this fridge doesn't have a bottom mounting system. I've actually angled those 3 columns so that they don't interfere with the seats. I can still tip them back. So I guess the next job is to be able to fix these columns to the floor. I'm going to have to screw them from underneath. So it means taking all this out, including this original false floor, and attaching them outside of the vehicle. Well, check this out. Isn't this absolutely fantastic? It fits in here brilliantly. To say that I'm over the moon is an understatement. Everything came together in the end. I mean, you always get worried when you measure things out whether or not it's actually going to fit, but everything is perfectly fitted to the back of this vehicle. So a couple of specs that I probably didn't say. This is actually a 30 litre drawer fridge that's installed here, and this is a single drawer. I'm going to be able to put my camping gear, my food, my camera charging equipment, as well as a few other accessories in here. It's plenty of room. On the top, I'm going to be able to put my Pelican case, as well as tripods, light stands, and probably another case that I actually got from Frontrunner, which will fit into that little space there perfectly. So this thing is probably going to change over time. It's perfect at the moment, but I need to add things like USB ports, 240 volt inverter for a coffee machine, as well as charging my big camera's batteries. There's these cubbies in the side here, which I'm not too sure what it's going to accommodate at the moment. So I probably will put a face on this with a little latch so I can open and close it so it doesn't move out of that zone. I want to be able to put some tie down points for my Pelican so it doesn't slip and slide. But overall, it's going to give me the perfect amount of storage. It fits everything that I need to go filming remotely like I do, with all my camera gear, camping gear, and food and water that I need. So I better start loading it up with some gear, some food and some water, because I've got a trip with Mahindra Australia coming up where we're going to Moreton Island on one of their adventure weekends. Make sure you like and subscribe, because I've got plenty more travel videos as well as a couple more build videos with Rybike soon. Anyway, see you in the next one.